In recent months, Pope Francis' health has generated great concern. The pontiff, which has faced several battles for his health, including surgeries and hospitalizations, has shown signs of fragility. At 87, the lack of strength and the difficulty in walking intensified speculation about their ability to continue in office. Rumors circulate on the possibility of their resignation or even the inevitability of their death, given the deterioration of their health. The situation became even more delicate when it was considered that the end of the pontificate of Francis could coincide with an ancient prophecy that would date centuries ago, something that many believe are related to the end of an era in the Catholic Church. Now, before continuing to tell me which city are you watching this video from, I want to know how far this message is coming. So it already leaves a comment below and takes the opportunity to strengthen this community of people who seek the truth. And don't forget, if this content made you reflect, leave the like because it helps this video reach more people who need to hear it. And of course, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so as not to lose the next videos. There is a lot of important things coming. The deterioration of Pope Francis's health raises an even more intriguing question. Would he be the last pope, as indicated by an ancient prophecy? The prophecy of St. Malachi, dating back to the 12th century, astonishingly described the popes to the end of the world. Pope Francis, according to this prophecy, would be the last pontiff. St. Malachi's prophecy not only predicts papal succession, but also describes what would happen when the last pope assumed, including a period of great tribulations and the destruction of Rome. Given Pope Francis' current health crisis and Vatican instability, many begin to question if we are, in fact, witnessing the fulfillment of this old forecast. St. Malachi's prophecy is one of the most enigmatic and debated within the Catholic Church. Supposedly written by an Irish monk in the 12th century, it contains 112 short motto that describe each pope from Celestino II in 1143 to the last pontiff, which, according to prophecy, would witness the fall of the Church and the final judgment. Each motto seems to align with the reality of every pope who occupies St. Peter's chair, describing from his origins to aspects of his pontificate. Although its authenticity has been questioned over the centuries, the accuracy of many details and the connection with historical events have made prophecy a fascinating theme of debate and reflection, especially when it comes to the end of the Church. They are Malachi, the man behind prophecy, was a Benedictine monk Irish of the 12th century, known for his deep faith and spirituality. Some believe he had supernatural gifts, such as clairvoyance, which allowed him to view a series of future events, including the papacy until the end of time. His view, while in Rome in 1139, was marked by a trance experience, where, according to reports, he saw all the future popes in a kind of divine revelation. This view resulted in an enigmatic list of slogans that, according to scholars, accurately describe each pontificate, from Pope Celestino II to the last pope, who would have the tragic fate of witnessing the destruction of the Church. St. Malachi's view was a mystical and revealing event. During his trip to Rome in 1139, he allegedly entered a trance state during which he was transported to an unknown future. In this state of spiritual ecstasy, Malachi saw a sequence of popes that would govern the Church until the end of time. Upon returning, he wrote the prophecy on a secret list of 112 lemimums, each representing a pope, with brief descriptions that supposedly related to the characteristics of each pontiff, such as origin, shield, or important events. The accuracy of some of these slogans throughout history has increased speculation about the veracity of prophecy, especially when the last pope's forecast, which would be Peter the Roman. The list of 112 slogans created by Malachi not only describes each pope in an enigmatic way, but also seems to predict significant events of its pontificates. Each motto is a kind of charade containing details that are impressively aligning with the events and characteristics of each pope's pontificate. The list begins with Pope Celestino II in 1143 and goes to the last pope, identified as Peter the Roman. Many scholars have noticed that the slogans are symbolic and metaphorical descriptions, but as prophecy approaches the present, the coincidences between the characteristics of the popes and the lemas become increasingly surprising. When the prophecy arrives in Francis, many begin to question, is he in fact the last pope? For centuries, St. Malachi's prophecy has remained hidden in the Vatican archives. Only in 1595, the Benedictine monk Arnoldo Huion revealed to the world the list that Malachi had written. Huion published prophecy in the book Lignum Vitae, a work that, although initially received with skepticism, soon attracted the attention of scholars and curious. From that moment on, the prophecy was widely discussed and studied. The accuracy with which some popes described on the list corresponded to the motto increased the belief that the prophecy could be genuine. This led to speculation that the Catholic Church was coming to the end of its era, especially when the name of Peter the Roman began to be associated with Pope Francis, generating even more mystery about the future of the pontificate. The motto of St. Malachi that corresponds to Pope Francis is Peter the Roman. This description arouses great interest due to its enigmatic and dramatic nature. Unlike the other slogans, which were shorter and more mysterious, Francis' motto is accompanied by a detailed description that talks about tribulations, persecution, and the suffering of the Church. Prophecy points to a time of great crisis, where the last pope will rule in a period of spiritual and physical disasters. The final description of prophecy suggests that after this pope, the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, which many interpret as the fall of Rome. This generates a frightening connection between prophecy and the present state of the Church and the world. The motto, Peter the Roman, attributed to Pope Francis, is a key to understanding the profound spiritual and historical implication of St. Malachi's prophecy. Peter, as the first pope, symbolizes the continuity of the papacy and its foundation, and Roman is a reference to the city of Rome, where the Catholic Church has its thirst. The combination of these two elements suggests that the last pope will be someone directly linked to tradition and papal authority. However, the word Roman also has a connotation of vulnerability and decay, since Rome, according to prophecy, will be destroyed at the end of the reign of the last pope. This interpretation seems to indicate that the Catholic Church will face great adversities during the pontificate of Francis, which can be a prelude to the end of the Church as we know it. At the age of 87, Pope Francis has faced a number of health problems in recent years. Surgeries, hospitalizations, and mobility difficulties are obvious signs that Pontiff's health is declining. Experts and sources near the Vatican have noticed that their forces are increasingly diminished. This generated speculation that his renunciation could be imminent, especially since he had sometimes mentioned the possibility of leaving the papacy if he felt that he could no longer perform his duties properly. For many, these signs are a reflection of the fulfillment of St. Malachi's prophecy, suggesting that we are living the end of an era in the Catholic Church. The connection between your weakened health and the end of the papacy is a growing concern. Pope Francis's pontificate has been marked by a series of internal seizures in the Vatican, which reinforces the feeling that the end of the Catholic Church as we know it is closer. Divisions between cardinal, financial scandals, and controversial doctrinal changes have increased tensions within the Church. In addition, changes in traditional practices and disputes on topics such as sexual morality, marriage, and the role of women in the priesthood have generated great discussions within the Catholic hierarchy. All of this contributes to a growing feeling that the Vatican is in a state of turbulence, which can be interpreted as a manifestation of the crisis described by the prophecy of Saint Malachi, where the last pope faces a period of great tribulations. Saint Malachi's prophecy is directly linked to the destruction of Rome, described as the city of 7 hills. This apocalyptic image appears both in prophecy and in the book of Revelation, creating a frightening connection. Rome, which symbolizes the Catholic Church and its authority, would have a tragic destination, according to predictions. At the end of Peter's pontificate the Roman, the city of Rome would be destroyed, and the final judgment would occur. Many modern interpretations associate this event with the collapse of Western civilization, which has been increasingly weakened by economic, political, and social crises. The Vatican crisis, coupled with apocalyptic signs in various parts of the world, reinforces the idea that we are, in fact, close to great cataclysm that could affect not only Rome, but the fate of the world as a whole. Saint Malachi's prophecy is often compared to Revelation, the last book of the Bible, which describes the end of the world and the final judgment. In Revelation, the city of 7 colinas, Rome, is symbolically mentioned, which makes many scholars connect the destruction of Rome with the end of the Catholic Church, as provided by Malachi. Moreover, the figure of the false prophet in the Apocalypse is a central figure in final events, and many believe that the next church leader could be this false prophet, according to the prophecy of Malachi and the apocalyptic texts. If Pope Francis is really the last pope, this suggests that we are entering a period of great tribulation described in the Apocalypse, where the world will face a period of chaos, religious persecution, and destruction before the final judgment. The apocalyptic signs described in the book of Revelation seem to align with many of the events we are witnessing in today's world. Wars in various parts of the planet, such as conflict in Ukraine and tensions in the Middle East, as well as natural disasters and a growing climate crisis, are phenomena that fit the biblical predictions. COVID-19 pandemic is also seen by many as one of the plagues mentioned in prophecies. In addition, increasing persecution of Christians in various parts of the world and the decline of traditional faith in Western countries can be interpreted as signs that we are approaching the end of time. These signs, which coincide with biblical descriptions, intensify the feeling that the fulfillment of prophecy may be closer than we imagine. In the Apocalypse, the figure of the false prophet plays a central role in final events. This religious leader, described as a beast who disguises herself as a lamb, has the power to deceive the masses and lead humanity to the path of spiritual destruction. Many scholars believe that Saint Malachi's prophecy suggests that Pope Francis' successor could be this apocalyptic figure. This theory is reinforced by the controversial doctrinal changes that have occurred within the Church in recent years, which can be seen as signs of a deviation from traditional doctrines. If the next pope is, in fact, this false prophet, the world can be led to an age of spiritual confusion that prepares the ground for the rise of the Antichrist. The pontificate of Francis has been marked by significant doctrinal changes that generated profound controversy and divisions within the Catholic Church. Issues such as the role of women in the Church, the acceptance of divorce, and sexual morality have generated major discussions between cardinals and the basis of the faithful. These divisions can be seen as symptoms of a broader crisis of faith that affects the Church. In many ways, these divisions reflect the scenario described in the prophecies, in which the Church faces great internal turbulence. If doctrinal changes continue to follow this path, it could contribute to the feeling that we are approaching the fulfillment of Saint Malachi's prophecy, where the Church will be deeply transformed before its collapse. The crisis in the Catholic faith is evident in many Western countries, where secularization and increased atheism have led to the abandonment of traditional religious practices. empty churches, and a growing lack of interest in spiritual issues among new generations are clear signs of this decline. This phenomenon is often interpreted as part of the apocalyptic process described in the book of Matthew, where Jesus warns of the loss of faith in recent times. In addition, secularization has led to an environment where traditional Christian values are being replaced by progressive ideologies. The Catholic Church, which already faces a significant loss of the faithful, is struggling to maintain its relevance in an increasingly distant world of spirituality, which generates a sense of deep crisis within the Church. The question many are asked is, what will happen after Pope Francis? If he renounce or die, who will succeed him? St. Malachi's prophecy suggests that Francis would be the last legitimate pope, which raises a number of questions about the future of the papacy. If he is indeed the last pope, it would imply that the collapse of the papacy and the Catholic Church as we know it would be imminent. Some believe that the next church leader may not be a legitimate pope, but a figure who will take control during a great spiritual crisis, thus fulfilling the role of false prophet. Other interpretations indicate that the Church can enter a period of spiritual transition, where the papacy loses its central influence. The future of the Church, therefore, is wrapped in mystery and uncertainties. The figure of the Antichrist is a central theme in many interpretations of apocalyptic prophecies. According to the scriptures, Antichrist will be a leader who will emerge in recent times, deceiving the masses and preparing the terrain for the end of the world. Many believe that Antichrist will emerge during a period of great religious and political confusion, when true faith will be challenged by a series of mistakes. The relationship between the prophecy of St. Malachi and the emergence of a false spiritual leader raises the possibility that the next pope is actually a figure to open the way to the Antichrist. This idea is fueled by internal divisions within the Church and the growing appeal by a universal religion that unites all beliefs under a single leader, something that can be interpreted as the preparation for the Antichrist. Despite apocalyptic prophecies and signs of crisis that seem to align with the end of the Church, it is important to remember that faith and hope can transcend any tribulation. Throughout history, humanity has faced several moments of great challenge and overcame them. The words of Jesus in John 16:33, "In the world you will have afflictions, but it tends to encourage, I have overcome the world," are a reminder that even in the face of times of difficulties, the light of faith will always shine. The Catholic Church, even in the midst of its challenges, has a long history of resilience and spiritual renewal. Therefore, even if we are entering a period of great tribulations, hope remains. God has a plan, and those who trust in Him will never be alone. True faith will not be shaken, regardless of the events that the future reserves us. If this video has touched your heart, be sure to let your like down here. This helps spread this message to more people who also need to hear the voice of God in their lives. Share this video with friends and family so that everyone can learn to walk closer to their Father and listen to their direction clearly. And of course, comment below what has impacted you the most or what you intend to change on your spiritual journey. I want to hear your experiences. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, take the opportunity now to subscribe and activate notifications. Thus you will stay on top of all the transformative content we are preparing to help you grow spiritually. Remember, your mission as elected is unique, and together we can reach more people with the truth of God. If you have felt touched by this video and believe in the mission we are fulfilling here, helping to spread the true message of Christ, we want to invite you to join us even more significantly. If you want to support our work and help us continue producing content that strengthens faith and guides people on the path of truth, consider making a donation through Super Thanks. Your contribution will be fundamental so that we can expand our reach, and continue bringing messages of hope, discernment, and spiritual transformation. Each donation, however small, makes a big difference in our mission. Click on the Super Thanks icon below this video and contribute what you can. We thank you immensely for your support, and may God bless you abundantly for your generous heart. Together we can impact even more lives and bring the true word of God to every corner. May God bless you abundantly, and until the next video, stay firm in faith and keep listening to the voice of God.